Hello everyone. Today I want to continue on with the Depend on God. But today I want to entitle it Depend on God by Depending on God. Well, let me explain. But today I want to be completely honest with you. I fret. I worry. I fight my flesh like anybody else. When storms continue on and circumstances don't seem to change, it's difficult to not worry about things. I cast things on God. I cast my cares, my needs, my worries, my doubts, and my fears. I cast them on God, but sometimes I take them back. But I want us to learn, even when we do that, we just continue on. We continue on depending on God. I have a couple of really great stories that I was reminded of when preparing this Bible study. And the first one is in 1 Kings 17. And there was a real bad drought in the land. And God told Elijah to go to a certain town and stay with this widow, and that she would provide for him. And when he got there, he sees this woman in there gathering sticks up, and he says, "Hey, can you go get me some water? And by the way, can you also bring me back some bread, because I need something to eat?" And this woman says, "Honest man, all I have left is this little tiny bit of meal, maybe a little flour, and a little bit of oil, and I'm gonna put it together and make me a little cake for me and my son, and we're gonna eat that, and then we're gonna die, because that's all we have." And this woman had just done all she could to raise her son, and now it just wasn't enough. And so Elijah said, he told her to go ahead and make this cake for him, and she would see what would happen. And she went in there, and she obeyed this prophet of God, and went in there and made this up and gave to him, and it multiplied. God, through her faithfulness of continuing on, he multiplied what she had. So it wasn't just a little flour anymore. Every time she went to dip out and she looked back in there to get more, there was more. Anytime she got in her oil and had to pour out some oil to make this cake, there was more. And she poured out some more, and there was more. God told her through this prophet that through her faithfulness, God would multiply what she had and be more than enough than what she needed. And that this would not run out for her until that drought was over, and then things would grow again and God would continue to provide for her. And then there's another story in 2 Kings 4, starting in verse 1. Another woman came to the prophet Elisha this time, and her husband had died, and she had 2 sons. And she didn't have enough to pay off the creditors, and they were going to come and get her sons and take them as slaves so they could work off the debt that she had. Same thing. She had done all she could to raise her children. And now it's like, what do I do? What do I do? So she sought after the prophet of God and said, "I need help." And he said, "Go." And first he said, "What do you have? What do you have of value?" And all she had was oil. And back then, oil was worth some great money. And, well, it is now too, depending on what kind of oil you got. But she said, "All I have is this little thing of oil." And he says, "You go out and you go as many neighbors that you can find, and you borrow vessels from them and bring them back in. And when you've shut the door, start filling all those vessels." And so she obeyed, and she went out. And she got other vessels from all these friends, and her sons went in and started filling them. And that one vessel that she had of oil filled all these others, and it just kept pouring. And when she filled the last one, it was enough. And he said, "Go and sell that oil now, and it'll provide for you and your sons, that you may live and be provided for." God is more than enough. And then there's one more story I want to share with you from Matthew 14. And I know you guys all know this story, but a great multitude of people had come to see Jesus. And while they were there, they'd been there a long time, and it was getting evening time, and the disciples were like, "Send them away." And Jesus like, "No, you feed them." And the disciples are like, "But all we have are this little bit of 5 loaves of bread and 2 little fish. What is that for all of these people?" And Jesus took it, and he blessed it, and he broke it, and he gave it out to those people. 5,000 men, not including the women and children. And they all ate, and they were all filled. Sometimes we've done all we can in life, and it just doesn't seem like we can do enough. But I think that God has planned it that way because he wants us to seek after him. He says, seek first the kingdom of God. And I'll have that reference for you too. That's in Matthew 6:33. But seek first the kingdom of God. And then all these other things that you have need of will be added to you. We have to first seek him in everything. As a mom, I work and I do my very, very, very best, but I try so hard to seek after God on a regular basis and to trust him. And you know what? He comes through. I don't have it all. I don't have everything that I need because I need him. I need him to fill in those places where I lack because he is more than enough. That Jehovah Jireh, he is our provider. He provides for everything that we have need of. I do want to turn to Psalm 55, and I think I have it marked in here somewhere. Psalm 55, verse 16 and 17, it says, as for me, I will call upon God, and the Lord shall save me. Evening and morning and at noon will I pray and cry aloud, and he will hear my voice. We've talked about that before. Evening, morning, and at noon means all the time. We don't leave him out of our day. We don't leave him out of our plans. We don't leave him out of anything that we do in life because he is more than enough. You want your plans to succeed? Seek after him. Cry out to him. You've got storms and problems and sickness and anything that's going on in your life. Seek after him. Morning, noon, and night. Just talk to him. Tell him how you feel. Don't neglect to give him everything. And let's scoot down to verse 22 in that same chapter. It says, cast your burden upon the Lord, and he shall sustain thee. He will never suffer the righteous to be moved. Trust God. Depend on God by depending on him every moment of every day. Depend on him that he is more than enough. He will provide for your needs. He will provide for all that you ever need. Depend on him.